Hello and welcome. Chris from Missouri here, bringing you another video about vintage baseball cards. In this video, I'm going to show you a few cards here in a little bit, but first of all, I want to tell everybody how grateful I am and how blessed I feel because I went over 15 subscribers the other day, and I'm sorry, 1,500 subscribers the other day, and I'm just so excited about it. But this is not a video challenge. I'm not asking you to do a video response or anything like that. But what I am asking you to do is sit back and enjoy this with me if you can. And if you want to write a comment or two underneath it after I'm finished with the video, please do. But again, I'm pretty excited. And so what I wanted to do today is do something a little thought provoking and do it now. See, the last couple of years, we've lost some great baseball players that have gone on and, passed away. Some great Hall of Famers. And a few years back, Major League Baseball did their top 4 living baseball Hall of Famers, and or top four living baseball players. And I thought I would do that this time because, see, we've lost Hank Aaron and Willie Mays, and they were voted in the top 4, and so was Sandy Koufax and Johnny Bench. Of course, those two are still alive. But remember the old Etch-a-Sketch game where you would draw on with these dials, and when you wanted to erase it, you shook it. Well, what I'm going to do is do the old Etch-a-Sketch game on what they did, and I'm going to erase everything they did now that Willie and Hank have passed away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do is get rid of Sandy Koufax on my 4 list. Just get rid of everybody. But I'm not even going to consider Sandy Koufax because I'm going to do 4 greatest living pitchers, and he's going to be eligible for that. But what I'm going to do is the 4 greatest living players, and what I'm doing is I'm not considering who I think are steroid players. Just me. I'm not trying to pick a fight or start anything here because this is mine, and you guys can choose whatever. But I did it a different way, and here's how I considered to be on my list. 1, if you're the greatest living player at your position and you're still alive, I'm considering you. If you're in the top 5 at your position, I'm considering you for the 4 greatest. And so I started off with catching. And I believe the last time when they voted on this, they got it right. I believe Johnny Bench is the greatest living catcher. And I believe if you're the greatest living catcher, which is the hardest position, you need to be considered. And so not only did I consider him, I put him on there. So here's my Johnny Bench card that represents him as on my little Mount Rushmore baseball players. Now, I met him, a couple weeks ago, and he was kind enough to tell me that my barn door was open. So now if I go to first base, I look at that first base, and Lou Gehrig's not on the list, and because he's passed away, and Jimmy Fox and some of them. But there's a couple to consider. You go on to second base, and Honus Wagner's gone, and Joe Morgan's no longer with us. And I don't see a second baseman that I want to consider, that's still alive. You got Ryan Sandberg and a few of them. But as far as the top 4 living players of all time, I just don't see it. Maybe you see it differently than I do. You go to shortstop. A lot of people consider Honus Wagner as the greatest living player or greatest shortstop of all time. Of course, he's been gone a long time. And so, there's some still great ones up there. There's Jeter. I did not consider Alex Rodriguez. There's Cal Ripken and Ozzie Smith. And, Cal Ripken's, I gave him some consideration, but I didn't take him. Now, you go to third base. Now, third base is weird to me because I was writing a book not too long ago. Well, been writing it for a long time. It'll never be published, but third base was not well represented in the Hall of Fame at all. And now, if you look at it now, that position is well represented, especially with players that are still alive. You got guys like Schmidt and Brett and Boggs and Chipper Jones and Adrian Beltre. And so I actually considered all those. And even though though I'm going to pick one, the other ones I'm still considering. And I'm going to pick who I think is the greatest third baseman of all time, and that's Mike Schmidt. Now I've ventured out to the outfield, and I went to left field, and there's a lot of great left fielders that are no longer with us. And there's some couple of guys that are really really high up there in the WAR and different stats. And you got some guys like Carly Yastrzemski that's alive, but I chose a left fielder, and he's not the greatest left fielder alive, but he's the greatest, and he'll tell you. And that is Rickey Henderson. Now, I'm not a huge Rickey Henderson fan, but I consider the greatest leadoff hitter of all time, and I consider him the greatest stolen base king. And look at this stand that I'm putting it in. That was given to me by Drew, Clean Cheap Shots. Considered some outfielders. Of course, I think the greatest center fielder is Willie Mays, and he's not with us. And one player I did consider, and it was close, and that was Ken Griffey Jr. I consider him to be one of the greatest center fielders of all time. And I think I think if he wasn't injured as much as he was, he would be higher up on everybody's list. But I didn't take him, but I considered him, and he's really high on this list. Go over to right field, and Hank Aaron's not with us. Frank Robinson, Babe Ruth, Roberto Clemente, Al Kaline's up there, Ichiro's up there, Pete Rose is up there, and I considered Pete Rose a little bit, but I didn't choose him. So then I go back around, and I did choose a first baseman, and it was the hardest pick. It was between him and Ken Griffey Jr., but I decided to choose this guy. Not my favorite player, but look at this holder that I'm putting it in, made by another Drew, a Vintage Legacy. And here's who I chose: Albert Pujols. Now, I'm not so sure, I'm not so sure I got it right, but that's who I think is. Now, if you guys want to leave a comment down below and tell me who you think the 4 greatest living players are, just let me know by your comments. And again, this is not a video response. You're not going to win anything. We'll do a big one coming up someday. And guys, if you look behind me, I got some empty spaces because I took some cards and put them away down in my wife's office at the bank, because I get to go on a trip, and I'm going this weekend to watch the Kansas City Royals play the Cincinnati Reds, and I'm going to Cincinnati. So if anybody's going to be there or be close to Cincinnati, reach out to me if you see this video. Guys, I'm having a blast doing these videos. I can't believe 1,500 people have subscribed to my channel. This hobby is strong. This community makes it strong, makes you have fun. And I'm not trying to pick a fight with these 4, but if you're strong-willed on some of them, just let me know. I'm thick-skinned. I can take it. But remember, guys, this is just a hobby. Collect what you like.